So, pre-season testing has been completed for the 2025 season. 3 days of running around Bahrain's international circuit in Sakhir. Let's have a look at 5 of the main points. For the first time in 2025, 5 things that we learned from Formula 1 pre-season testing. So the first thing we learned is that it can rain in Bahrain. Now I know of course it does rain sometimes in Bahrain, but I was very much surprised to see that we actually got a decent chunk of rain on the morning of the second day. And in fact only 2 teams brought intermediate tyres to the test. Understandably, this is a desert country and you don't really see rain here. We've been coming here since 2004 and I don't believe it has ever rained to the point during any session to the point where we've actually needed some intermediate tyres on, but we saw it. I think Haas and Aston Martin were the only teams to bring those intermediate tyres, and they actually did go out. I seem to remember it was Esteban Ocon in the Haas who was out pretty early on with that. Just interesting seeing that, really. A bit of a surprise. And also a surprise on the first day, I think it was, that we had an electrical failure. The power went out at the circuit for a good hour or so as the sun was setting towards the end of the first day, and that meant that all the cars had to come into the garage. It was unsafe. And yeah, everybody in the garage had to use like torches and stuff to see what was going on. They were using their mobile phones with the torch feature just to be able to see what was going off. Bahrain needing really to get some backup generators, and you'd think they'd have some sort of provision for that. I mean, if that happens during a Grand Prix, which of course these days takes place at night, of course in the Sakhir. So yeah, it's something that they don't want to see repeated. Better it happen in testing than being out on the track. And of course, Bahrain is also where you have endurance racing, which takes place at night too. So I think they'll need to sort that out. I think they'll need to get that sorted out, but I'm sure they will do that by the time that the Grand Prix rolls around in April. I think it's April by then when we have that race. So, but yeah, the main thing, the stats, the lap charts. Who did the most laps during Bahrain testing? Well, over the 3 days, the team that did the most laps in total were Mercedes, 458 in total for Kimi Antonelli and George Russell over the 3 days. It's very tight at the top though. Haas, they managed 457, and the Racing Bulls, they managed 454. Roughly speaking, that is just under 9 race distances and 9 Grand Prix distances covered over the 3 days. In fact, every day they were doing almost 3 Grand Prix distance per day, which is very, very impressive, even when that load is being shared between 2 drivers. On the other side of things, the least laps overall, Red Bull did the least laps overall during testing for the Bahrain international circuit. 304 laps in total for them. Again, another team was down there pretty close to them as well. Aston Martin with 306. Red Bull doing a lot of laps on the first day, 132, but a lot less on days 2 and day 3. Aston Martin did over 100 laps on day 2 and 3, but it's really day 1 that let them down with 88 laps there. Just a quick mention as well, I did mean to say with my previous one as well, who did the most laps in any given day? That was Haas. Haas managed 162 laps today on the final day for day 3, which is only 2 laps ahead of what Racing Bulls managed as well. So really big totals on the final day of the test for both of those teams. And the fastest overall driver throughout the entire weekend, Carlos Sainz. Williams had the 5th most laps of all, so they were very much slap bang in the middle of the table, 395 in total for them. The fastest lap of Bahrain testing was completed by Carlos Sainz, a 1 minute 29.348. He did that on the second day in the afternoon session, and yeah, incredible. I think it was actually faster than what Williams managed to do during any of Bahrain's qualifying sessions. So Williams, you know, they could really have that could be a positive sign for them. It is testing, of course, it's hard to tell, but you know, they did a faster lap than they ever managed in qualifying last season for Bahrain. So I would say that constitutes some serious progress for the team, and it could be something very positive for them. It really could. Yeah. What were your main testing highlights, guys? Let us know in the comments below. Bahrain being potentially quite unrepresentative. It was very cold through this weekend. Like I said, it rained on Thursday morning as well. So yeah, very unusual conditions for Bahrain. So I don't expect that this testing in a sense will be that representative, but you never know. It's a good yardstick to have, and we'll see it in just a couple of weeks time for Melbourne, Australia. I can't wait for the Australian Grand Prix to get underway. I can't wait for the F1 season to properly get underway. But of course, in the meantime, we'll be bringing you plenty of content here on the F1Chronicle.com. Have a great weekend ahead, guys, and see you very soon for some more Formula 1 action in 2025.